Hey there, this is Jenny Sampson from With It Girl, and you're listening to the Talk About It podcast. Please welcome the filmmakers of the upcoming skate documentary, Breaking the Barrier. It chronicles OnWord, a women, TGNC, and LGBT+ skate crew that teaches skateboard building and provides free skate lessons and resources for marginalized communities. The film follows them making history by building Chicago's first non-traditional public mobile skate park. OnWord Skate Collective is founded by Lid, T, Cath, Deb, and Bridget. They're currently raising money for their film to donate to their Indiegogo. The link will be in the description, or their Venmo is at Dare to Dream Productions. Join their community and follow their journey on Instagram at Breaking the Barrier Film. Well, great to meet you two. Lucia, can you tell me a little bit about your role? I think I know, Bridget, what you do.
Bridget brought me on. I'm not as involved in like the skate world as Bridget is, like, at all. I'm like I grew up in New York, so like have friends who were big into skating there, but in terms of like I have a few friends who skate in Chicago, but like Bridget has really been the person to bring me into like the world here. But in terms of like my role and my involvement with like the project, I'm producing it, so we're in like, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but we're in like our crowdfunding phase, so a lot of the producing has been around trying to get support and money for the project, and then I'm sure like once we move towards production it will be more like logistical, scheduling, shoot planning, and then after that like helping with distribution and stuff like that.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask about pronouns. I am she, her, and I just wanted to ask about you guys just in case.
Yeah, I'm she, her as well.
I'm also she, her.
She, her. Okay, great.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Like,
where do you live? And I feel like you're in Chicago, but now my brain is completely a little squishy.
we are in Chicago. You have that correct, yeah. So I grew up in Park Ridge, but I moved to Lakeview, and now I'm back in the suburbs, but yeah. Now I went to college in Chicago as well.
Are you a skater?
Yes, I am a skater. I'm a co-founder of OnWord Skate Crew. Like, we're going onward, and that's like the meaning behind our skate crew is like we're continuing onward and trying to progress the world of skateboarding because it is very male dominated.
Yeah. And how long have you been skating?
I started when I was around like 12, and then I had a really bad fall. And growing up in the suburbs, like the suburb I grew up in, there was no female skaters. So I was like the only one at the skate park. And so when I fell that day, I was like really kind of discouraged into like getting back into it because I didn't have the support. So I stopped for like a long time. And then I got back into it because of like one of the founders of OnWord got into skateboarding, and then we started skateboarding again probably like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay, cool. And who got you into skateboarding originally?
I kind of just got myself into it. I found it, like, I was always into, like, ripsticking, and, like, I was a very athletic kid, so kind of skateboarding, like, I always wanted to do it, especially because, like, I wanted to do the tricks, and I felt like it would really be fun to, like, go on ramps and everything, but, like, Lid, who's a co-founder of OnWord, reintroduced me to skateboarding when we were, like, I think 20.
Okay, so Breaking the Barrier. You are, how far into filming are you?
So right now we're in pre-production. So we're crowdfunding right now. We have done we filmed and edited a short film that serves as a proof of concept for the feature. So it's kind of like, showing who we're going to be interviewing in the feature. And it's like, it is about how we did build the DIY public mobile skate park and how we're bringing it to areas of Chicago that they don't have access to skateboarding. And so we're going to be bringing it around this summer to west and south sides of Chicago, and hopefully like eventually growing it so we could like go to Ohio or like Missouri or, maybe even California.
So is this skate park, it is portable? It's like a movable skate park?
Yes, so we could like pop it. We do that so we could like pop it up and then deconstruct it and then bring it to a different like area.
Oh, cool. I love the idea of bringing it to different neighborhoods and also teaching kids at the schools. Are you going to be showing the finished documentary at film festivals, or do you have an in, or at least to begin with in Chicago or something where you're going to be showing it, or is that something that's too far in the future?
We actually, is it next Friday? Next Friday are like premiering the short film at DePaul, which is like a university here, DePaul Film Festival. And we got nominated for like best documentary short there. So that's our first like foray into festivals. But once we like have the actual feature length, our plan is definitely to bring it to festivals. We're like hoping to like hit one of the big ones first, like maybe Tribeca or something like that. We are like, since we're in pre-production, we have a while until we get there. We're like definitely focusing on meeting people right now that might be able to help us with stuff like that. But yeah, it's just definitely a process of applying to tons of festivals, submitting to tons of festivals. And the great thing about this film, like in my opinion, is when you're applying to film festivals, like it definitely helps to be like a niche film. So like documentary definitely helps to be applying as a documentary rather than a fiction film. And then I'm sure that there are some film festivals where there are like categories specifically for things like sports or LGBTQ. So like I think we have like an advantage with that, definitely, that we like can kind of fill these niche little roles. So that's exciting, definitely. It's also very helpful with like the pre-production in terms of crowdfunding. Very helpful to be tapping into like communities that already exist, like the skate community and the queer community, and yeah.
And how did you guys all find each other? Were you friends beforehand? Or did you like bump into each other at a skate park, or?
So Lid brought us all together back in January of 2020. And their goal was to get people to build this skate park, this DIY public mobile skate park. So they brought us all together, but we were all strangers at first. Like we didn't know anyone except for Lid.
I'm familiar with that kind of a scenario. That's great. I love that. And then I would imagine that maybe you can tell me that, I mean, you come together in January or February of 2020. You kind of get all pumped up, you start working towards this thing, and then we get hit with the pandemic.
Yes. Wait, actually, I think it was in January of 2021. Wait, no.
Oh,
January 2020.
Was it pre-pandemic or?
We were in the pandemic.
2021 then.
2021. Sorry about that. 2021.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Time is not real anymore. It's so confusing. Like the pandemic, like,
It's hard to keep track now. Well, that actually makes almost more sense because we were all sheltering in place. And then around that time, people were beginning to feel more comfortable going out, I think. Is that your guys' experience?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So we met all on Zoom for the first 3 months. And we were just doing all the planning and prep on Zoom, trying to figure out, the design of the skate park and how we wanted to cater to beginner skaters. Because you probably know, like, a lot of the skateboarding, like, is kind of gatekept, and it's really hard for a beginner to learn skateboarding. Because it is kind of intimidating when you go to the skate park and, like, the ramps are so high and everything is, like, so high and you don't know where to start. So we wanted to build obstacles that catered for beginner skaters. But yeah, it was definitely difficult, like having to meet on Zoom for 3 months, and then we finally all came together for our first meetup at Logan Skate Park, And that was a lot of fun because it was the first time like we all met, and just to like be in one space together was really nice. Oh, also we met on Zoom for the first time.
For like a long time, yeah.
Oh, the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
And did you two know each other before, or did you come together via another person as well?
Bridget and I both are like filmmakers in Chicago, so we're part of that community as well. And I had seen, I don't know if I've even told you this, but like I had seen like Bridget posting a couple times like on Instagram. I think I followed OnWord maybe from initially seeing you post in like a Facebook group or something, but I had seen you post in a couple of different places where I saw on like Instagram and some of those like maybe like Chicago filmmakers Facebook groups, you know, and like that she was looking for a producer for a documentary, which is my like main focus. So I just like Instagram DM'd her and wasn't sure exactly what she was looking for, but was like, I think your skate crew is really cool, and I think the idea for your doc is really cool, and I feel like I can maybe help. And yeah, then I remember our first Zoom call was like really fun. Like I remember I was like really excited and got a sense of like Bridget as a director and knew that it was going to be like a project I would be excited to work on. So yeah.
And have you gotten on a skateboard?
I haven't. That was like one of the first things we talked about though, but I just had shoulder surgery, so I can't quite do it yet, but like I'm holding that offer in my back pocket for later. Yeah.
They say it's never too late, although I'm 52, I'm a little concerned, but I know that you can do it at any age.
You should definitely. Have you been on a board?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then yeah, that's awesome.
I ended up actually giving my skateboard to my niece. They wanted to get a skateboard immediately. And so I thought, look, just take mine, because mine, all I do is stand on it on the rug in my house.
That's so cute that you got them into it though. That's like super important to have someone that's like motivating.
Yeah, I was really happy about that. Okay, so I'd love to know, like, when both of you like decided or discovered filmmaking. I know from your documentary, Bridget, that you were 12 when you made your first film. I might ask you some personal questions, and if you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. Just say you'd rather not answer. But I wonder if you got that camera around the time that your mom passed, and if that was part of recording your and her life at that time, or perhaps helping the mourning process after. I don't really know the exact timing of all that. I'm wondering what that first film was that you made, and if you have a copy of it and what you think of it now.
This is a good question. I got my first camera when I was 12 because of my mom. My mom got me my first camera. And it was this shitty, like, red Nikon Coolpix camera. And, like, she knew that I was really getting into photography. I started with photography first and then got into short films through YouTube, actually. Like, I started making YouTube videos and then found short films through YouTube. And then I was like, oh, I really want to try this myself. And also, like, Super 8, that movie, like, with J.J. Abrams, that also got me really into film and, like, just wanting to make horror movies specifically. So my first film was a horror film, and it was called No Answer. And it was like this serial killer it doesn't have a good plot. It was horrible. But it was like, I gathered my friends. We were in middle school at the time. Gave them like a rough script. Like, it was pretty planned out for a 12-year-old. And I was like, okay, you don't have to memorize this, but try your best. And we like shot it on this camera. We did like, I tried to do the whole like filmmaking process of like different takes, and I just got fake blood and then doused like my friend in fake blood, and she was just like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of crazy. But she was like, enjoying like the whole process of it and just how we were having fun experimenting. I think a lot of my early work, it was just like having these inspirations of like especially horror films. There's this movie called American Mary that I got into because it was done by a woman director, and that was my first time seeing a film that was directed by a woman. And so I knew like I could do it too. Like there were women specifically in horror, because it's very rare. But it was nice to like see that and like have them as role models, these Saska sisters. So they were a big inspiration. But yeah, horror, like I started making a bunch of horror movies in 2012 and putting them on YouTube. Later I started like making some more like personal work, like experimental films. And I did this film called The Girl at the Library, which is like an LGBT short. And so, but I started it when I was 12, and I think like I've always like had a dream of just like making my own work specifically independently, because I don't really like the studio system. It's like, you know, it's changing, but I felt like I wanted to make my own films with my own crew and kind of like change the way films are being made, because like the mental health is super important for me and like my crew. And when people are working like 16 hours on these like Hollywood sets, or you know, sets in general run 14, 16 hours, like it drains you. And it's like really, like at least for me, when I was on set like of this one show last summer, I could tell like my mental health was just like going downhill. And I said like I can't do this to other people, you know? Like why do you have to work 16 hours? You don't. And you could stay on budget. So like my production company, Dare to Dream Productions, we prioritize mental health, and we try to, you know, have less hours and also have like a meditation at the beginning and at the end of the sets. But going back to like the mom question, like my mom, she was like she got me into film. And so later I made that film a letter to my younger self, because my mom like got me into film. And I'm also working on a feature, like a script about my mom and like mental health, and how like the mental health industry in America is really, it's horrible. Like it's inhumane, and I feel like we don't talk about it enough, and like that needs to change. And so hopefully I give myself like a rough deadline of like wanting to direct that film when I'm like in my 30s, because I feel like right now I'm not ready. Like that film is like really personal, and like I think I just need to like prepare for it. But yeah, I definitely think it's like a much needed film, and I think A Letter to My Younger Self is kind of like a prequel to that film.
Yeah, you know, thinking about that film, it seems to me that because how old were you when you made that one, Letter to My Younger Self?
So that was this December, actually, December 2021.
Oh, okay. And how old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay, so it seems to me that you have like this incredible sense of perseverance, like as a young person, even younger than you are now. And especially because of the trauma and the heartache and the, you know, the tragedy in your young life. Where do you think that this comes from? Because 21, like that's amazing to me. It's beautiful. And yeah, where do you think that comes from, your perseverance?
That's a good question. Like, I think like all the stuff that's like negative kind of that's happened in my childhood, just trying to like take that and kind of like make a positive out of it, and just like keep fighting towards my dreams. And like Dare to Dream, that's like why my production company is called Dare to Dream, because like I feel like when you get older, there's like this, people like stop dreaming in a way, or like their dreams are kind of shut down because of like this, you know, you have to have a normal job, you have to like make money to live, and then like this childhood self like kind of, you know, doesn't die, but it's kind of like it's like kind of goes away. So I feel like that's super important to like chalk your childhood self and be like, keep dreaming. Like even when you're 50, 60, 70, like you could still make those dreams happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think perseverance kind of just like comes from like, I don't know, that childhood self just keep fighting, like making my childhood self proud.
Yeah. And you must have had some great support too along the way.
Yes, my dad is a huge, like, he's my number one cheerleader. He was just sad. We, like, had a screening and, like, a fundraising event for this film, and he came, so that was, like, very nice. And then Lid, who's a co-founder of OnWord, like, I couldn't have done this whole film without them. Like, they got me into making this doc because it's about OnWord Skate Crew.
That is awesome. You've got incredible positivity. It's really beautiful. And do you have any siblings, Bridget?
No, I'm the only child. I wish. Maybe it would be cool to have like an older sister though. Someone like to look up to, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, you probably are getting some of that with OnWord, I would think, but maybe not. Is it a mostly younger crew?
OnWord is made up of a lot of young and older skaters. We don't have anyone like really like older, but Deb, who's a co-founder of OnWord, we kind of sometimes like, she's like our mom because like she's always so helpful and you know she's always has band-aids for us. And so like whenever we need something we always go to Deb, and she also gives like the best life advice.
Very important, band-aids and life advice.
I also feel like Bridget like you get to play like an older sister role. Like at your skate events you always have like young like kids there and you get to take on that role also a bit.
Yeah, Annabelle, who's actually gonna be part of the film, she's in the short film, but like she's a younger skater. I think she's like 12.
Yeah, she's pretty young.
And she does look up to a lot of like the skaters, especially Lid. Lid is one of like the key core founders. So I feel like the younger skaters really looks up to Lid because Lid is also an architect and they're like the main architect of the skate park.
And Lucia, let's see, did you grow up in New York or you were living there before you? Okay. And when did you get into filmmaking?
I think I was around like 10 the first time I went to film camp. But I'm not sure if it's because of that or I was like, I went to a like very competitive private high school in New York City. And I don't know if it's because of that or because going to like camp was how I was exposed to film. I just like did not even consider that you could like do filmmaking as a career really. Like, I thought it was like a hobby, I guess. And I didn't like really pursue it. I mean, like my mom had like, you know, one of those like little mini DV camcorders and I would mess around with that. I remember like my friend lived really far away from me. So I like filmed my house so that I could show her what my house looked like on like this camcorder. But yeah, I like loved film camp, but just didn't really like think it could be like sort of something that I really pursued. So I kind of didn't really do much with it when I was in high school. And then I went to Northwestern, which is why I came to like Chicago area. And when I was at Northwestern, I like started as a neuroscience major. And before my first day of classes, I was like, what am I doing? Because I kind of got exposure to like more people who were doing different things. And there was a film program there. And I was like, why am I like, I was signed up for like all the same classes I took in high school, you know, like a history class, a math class, a science class. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is when I get to choose what I want to do. So I dropped my neuroscience major before I even started it. And then I like was really kind of lost. And there's like an art museum at Northwestern that's really great and they do a lot of screenings. So I saw this movie Camera Person by this director Kirsten Johnson, and she was there doing a Q&A also, and I like cried during the movie, which shockingly like I don't do very frequently. Like I've only cried in like 2 movies and it was one of them. And I just was like, this is what I want to do. And it's a documentary, but it's about a documentary camera person, so it's like really getting to see what your life would kind of be like if you worked in documentary. And that was when I like pivoted. Then I like declared a film major. I also studied psychology, which I feel like, you know, is very connected to my documentary interest. So yeah, it was my second year of college that I like really made the commitment, and then as soon as I graduated, I was just like freelancing. Yeah.
That's amazing. And how old are you, Lucia?
I'm 24.
Is there any particular theme or genre of film that you are drawn to? And if so, what is that? Earlier it was horror, and clearly some is documentary, but is there, and maybe it is, Lucia, you were saying you're mainly documentary. Is that kind of how you see yourself as well, Bridget?
My heart is still in horror. So like I do write a lot of features that are horror-like, or horror genre. But I think like I'm drawn to documentary because of the impact it could have, like documentaries can have on others. And just like the whole engagement. Like we were just on a call with this like one producer, and he gave like us a lot of inspiration of how to engage with communities and the impact you could have. And so what we're doing with this film, Breaking the Barrier, is after the festival circuit, we're going to be going to Chicago public schools and engaging in a discussion on inclusion and, you know, queerness, and just providing an open space for these students to talk about themselves and also like their obstacles, maybe like being queer, you know, whatever they want to talk about, just providing that space. And also showcasing a film. And this one producer like thought of this great idea of how like we could have like someone like a skate, like Lid, or one of us, like our skaters, have a like 30-minute teaching session of how to skateboard for like these students as well. So I think like that's what draws me so much into doc. But I think horror, like just, I don't know, like I've just always been drawn to like horror, and also like thought-provoking films. Like my films, I want to like, you know, whenever you see a really good film and you want to talk about it for days, and like it keeps you up at night because you're like thinking about, like that's what I want to make, those kinds of films that like keep you thinking and having these discussions with your friends.
You found me because of your skateboard film, and my Skater Girl book. I mean, for my photographic work, I am always just on the sidelines, watching, observing. If I'm actually making portraits, then I'm in my own little world, but I'm engaging with whomever I'm photographing. But I mean, the more time I spent at skate parks, the more I just really, really loved the community in general. And I originally was just photographing any skater. It wasn't girl or guy, it was just skaters. And whenever I saw a girl skater, I was super stoked. But it was really hard. And then I ran into this girl posse in Emeryville, near Berkeley. And from them, I found out about Skate Like a Girl. And I was photographing them for a couple hours, and they were talking about Skate Like a Girl. I had never even heard about any girl skate organizations of any kind. And like in that moment, even I was meeting my deadline for my first book, but in that moment, I was like, okay, as soon as this deadline is over, I am only shooting girl skaters. No more, like no guys, only girls. And I've probably photographed, I am not kidding you, like 3 male skaters since that day. I have just observed that there are a lot of really strong, wonderful female role models in the skateboarding world now. You being one of them, and Skate Like a Girl folks. You've had, I mean, you are now this example to the younger folks. Like Lucia, you were saying, Bridget's kind of like a big sister, you know, which is a really wonderful role. Also, I'm a younger sister. I love my big sister. Like they're such an important person. So it's wonderful that like as an only child, you know, who's gone through traumatic times. And I don't want to like make that who you are only, like that's part of you. But I mean, your experience makes you stronger too. And then you can be strong for these other people and be role models. It's a really beautiful, like, I don't know, world, girl skater world. And also the other thing I've noticed or observed, and also in talking with you now, is the incredible leadership that the girls, women, whatever you want to say, in these organizations and groups. I mean, like, that is not how I saw myself in my 20s. I definitely felt more intimidated. And it's really amazing to see all of you doing these amazing things at such a young age. It's really inspiring. And are you in touch with Skate Like a Girl and or Exposure or Girls is Not a Four-Letter Word, any of those West Coast based girl skate organizations?
We are in touch with Skate Like a Girl. They reshared one of our Indiegogo posts, but we're not. And like we're in a Slack channel with a bunch of like skate organizations from across the world. So that's been really cool, and they've been really supportive. So yeah, hopefully like our goal like eventually is to get to California, like, and go to some of those events because they're really cool. Like those are our role models, like especially like Skate Like a Girl and Girl Swirl and.
Awesome. You might want to, maybe you already know about WAF, Wheels of Fortune, which is a skate event put on by Skate Like a Girl in Seattle. And it's a 3-day event. Kristen Ebling is the ED. The one coming up is in September. It might be too soon. You know, that might be a possibility for you guys once the feature is done, or even the short. That might be a good or a possible opportunity to show it and share it with a big girl skater group.
A big part of being in pre-production, like I was saying, is this fundraising thing. And I guess that feels really important because that's what we've been like investing all of our time and energy into. And it's a lot of work, and like it takes a lot of money to make a film, even a documentary film where it's like a group of friends making it together. It's just expensive. So that process has been, we've been learning a lot. Like we initially like launched a Kickstarter campaign where it's like all or nothing. I'm actually really proud of us for doing this. Like we like realized that we weren't going to hit our goal, and we like swallowed our pride, and we told everybody we're switching to like a different platform so that we can like take home money even if we don't reach our goal. And so we pivoted, and now we're on Indiegogo. And yeah, I feel like it's been a really big learning experience for all of us, and definitely really like helpful. It's so much work. Like it's constantly like so much social media, which neither of us are like super into. So
do it like all the time, right?
All the time, yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
More than posting once a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask, how long is the feature going to be?
I would say like around like 90 minutes. 90 minutes. 90? Yeah, like an hour and a half. Like it really depends because we don't know like what exactly we know who we want to interview, but we don't know like how much footage we're gonna get and like exactly like how long it could end up being, because there's a lot of things that we have coming up with OnWord that it's like, oh, we should definitely get footage of this because it's like a big event. So we're kind of that's the thing about documentary, is you kind of just follow the lives of whoever you're making the film about and see what happens next, because I don't know, this is just like the beginning for OnWord. We're really new like to the skating community, and so like a lot of good big things are happening. So I'm really grateful to also like be a part of the skate community, because I felt like whenever we were growing up, like we didn't have that, and now like we are still, you know, young, but it's like we're finally finding like our tribe.
Yeah. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. OnWord is pretty new. It's a little over a year and a half old. And have you been filming since the very beginning? Is that all, like, are some of the Zoom meetings going to be incorporated into the documentary, or is it more like is it the story of the beginning to, not the end, but the beginning to the past a certain state?
I think they will be incorporated, like at least maybe like used as B-roll throughout the film, because like, I don't know, there's a lot of hours of footage of Zoom calls, and also like, I don't know, no one really, you know, if it's displayed on a very nice screen, I don't know if everyone wants to watch a Zoom call for like that long.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely I think it's important though, because those are like our origins, and I feel like just learning, like, it's interesting to have this dynamic of like, we really were strangers and now we're kind of like our family. So I think seeing that progress, and you could definitely see it throughout the footage of us just like being like, we don't know each other until like now we're like hugging and like super close. And I think that'll be, and like the interviews, I'm really excited to like interview some of the founders and also like our collective's members and really dive deep into their stories. And like Sid, who's part of the short film, he's in that, and just like he's grown so much as a person, and I'm just like excited to capture that in like the feature. And he's now getting into drag, and so like we're hoping to like go and explore like, you know, how he got into drag and like film at a drag show and just like have that kind of run and go kind of filmmaking, like guerrilla. But I feel like those are the types of films like that really touch me, is when you're just like a fly on the wall, just observing like someone be themselves.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for, like, especially in the middle of your retreat, like, very kind of you.
Have a good rest of the retreat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.